crossing county lines just to make my name in the city. Took everything, put it on the line, cause I never break or back down. One shot is do or die, and the odds ain't looking too pretty. But I got the feeling it's my time. I know I'm taking it now. Blood, sweat, and tears, and I never looked for salvation. I worked for this for all these years, and I wouldn't break or back down. No. I fought through all my fears and all of my frustrations. I see the light is getting clear. I know I'm taking it now. It's my time, I'm taking it now. I'm taking it now. It's my time, I'm taking it
times they come around. Can't let them bring you down, 'cause you're either living life or letting it pass by.
Tonight on Countdown to Green, we analyze how Phoenix shook things up. eNASCAR's road course king, Bobby Zelensky, stops by. And we buckle up for our first race in the O'Reilly cars. All of that and more, coming up on Countdown to Green.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Countdown to Green, presented by Logitech G, getting you ready for tonight's race from beautiful virtual Homestead-Miami Speedway, the place they crown champions, and where we will continue the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing qualifying series tonight with a new debut of the O'Reilly Auto Parts car. I am Alan Cavana, great to be here, joined by the best team in the business, the man on the mic, James Pike, and the man behind the wheel, Ryan Vargas. How are you, fellas?
Man, I'm excited. I mean, look, we're hopping back into the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing qualifying series with the O'Reilly Auto Parts series cars, and we know the show that these cars can put on the racetrack in real life and on the sim. So, James, I mean, look, there's a lot to expect tonight. But what are you feeling?
I'd like to think that we could see these drivers run the top, run the middle, run the bottom. Homestead's a place where in real life you can find speed in a lot of different grooves. And so this race, I think, plays into the driver's hands more so than most races the qualifying series count. It'll be interesting to see how that pans out over the course of the evening.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how the drivers take on this challenge of a new car, a new track, or not a new track, but a track well known for giving us options. And Ryan, I know you've made laps on the sim, you've made laps in real life, and I know you've made laps in NASCAR 25 here.
Oh, absolutely. I've made tons of laps in NASCAR 25, NASCAR's official video game with an in-depth career mode featuring Dale Jr. and Dirty Mo Media. The best part about this game, though, is that it features all 4 NASCAR Touring Series, Cup, O'Reilly, Truck, ARCA, detailed driver ratings for 200-plus NASCAR drivers, laser scanned tracks for 30-plus tracks. So, and the best part about this, too, I say the best part because it's all good, right? I said it twice now, but whether you're an expert, whether you're one of these pros that's racing here tonight in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series, or you just want to hang out, sit on the couch, have a soda, and drive in circles for a couple hours, you can do that too, because of the varying driver skill level that you're able to do, in-depth driver and team customization. So, James, a lot to talk about that on the NASCAR 25 side, but on the college side, there's a lot going on there too.
There's a lot new going on. For your consideration, when we head to Martinsville Speedway for week 1 of the Old Dominion Classic tomorrow for the eNASCAR College iRacing Series powered by the Play vs. College League, it will be the first time any eNASCAR series has visited the paperclip in 5,467 days. Almost 15 years since we've seen Martinsville an official eNASCAR competition. And in that sense, this will be a challenge that none of the drivers in the field will have experience, regardless of how much experience they have on the sim. So I think we're going to see a complete wild card in that sense tomorrow night. If you want to find out more about the college series, you can scan the QR code on the bottom portion of your screen or visit pcl.gg/pages/eNASCAR for more information.
I love it. A new challenge on a very old school track. Looking forward to that. Let's look back 2 weeks because this was round 4, the final round of the trucks for the qualifying series, guys. And Phoenix is known for its cautions. We went a while before the chaos started, and then one of the announcers, I won't say who, myself, jinxed it all, and the action really got crazy at Phoenix. What'd you like about this race?
Oh, yeah, I mean, the action was crazy. You see here lots of fender banging, elbows out racing, but that's one of the beautiful parts about Phoenix Raceway here on the iRacing sim is there's so many lanes to choose from. Look at this 3 and 4 wide action. Rocky Boyd getting up there and spinning our boy Blake McCandless out, poor guy, but you saw right there a lot of contact, and that's just product of this race. And James,
No, it really, really is. Phoenix Race is like a short track, I think, in a lot of respects. But then there are also some sort of, I think of Michigan-esque aspects where you could go 4 and 5 wide. The problem is that when these lanes cross over and drivers are fighting for the same real estate, more often than not, you end up with more than just contact. You see drivers put around. However, Sebastian Marin became the first driver to win more than one top split race this season, and it has resulted in a place atop all of the point standings for Sebastian. And look, I think one thing to note, of the drivers in the top 10, 8 of them are regular competitors in Split 1. It says a lot about how important it is to be in that top split. And even if you aren't winning every race, if you can put together good, consistent finishes, racing against the best of the best, Ryan, more often than not, you'll give yourself a good shot at making it into the top 30.
Well, and you talk about the best of the best, but, I mean, look at the cutoff right here. There are no drivers in Split 5 in the top 30 anymore. Being in that top 4 splits, right now, that is the bar. That is the benchmark. So being in those top splits, but not only just being in those splits, but getting good finishes, that's going to be the biggest thing. You see Ethan Eckert in a Split 4 driver right there in 25th. Meanwhile, you have Split 1 drivers who have had some rough races all the way down in 27th. So it's a big mix of talent here, but that's what makes this qualifying series so interesting, is following the different splits and the finishing orders. And while we talk about that, we're going to take a look at the format breakdown of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing qualifying series. Right now, we start off with 4 rounds in the truck series. We just finished those up, and we're going to kick off the first of 4 rounds with the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series cars, and then we're going to round it out with 3 rounds in the Cup cars. Tonight, Homestead-Miami Speedway, 100 laps around this 1.5-mile speedway, and man, I am so excited to see these cars drive around here because these O'Reilly cars, minimal downforce, a good bit of horsepower, lots of slippy slidey, and speaking of the O'Reilly car, here it is, my baby, my beautiful 650 plus horsepower, 4-speed manual transmission, 358 cubic inch motor right there. These things are pretty heavy, 3,400 pounds, just a tick over that. Got some Goodyear Eagles on there. The best thing about this, look at that itsy bitsy spoiler. Look at that thing. This thing's going to slide around the racetrack right here. And man, guys, we're in for a treat, James.
You're going to be driving a lot off of the right rear. You're going to have to manage your tires here, especially if we get a long green flag run. It is so easy to overdrive with the gas pedal and get yourself in trouble towards the back end of green flag runs. As we take a look at tonight's Logitech G track analysis for the Homestead-Miami Speedway, this track built in the mid-1990s is a rejuvenation effort for the city of Homestead in the wake of Hurricane Andrew. It's a 1.5-mile, 2.41 kilometer circuit, progressive banking in the corners, 18 degrees on the inside, 20 degrees up top, 4 degrees of banking on the straights. Connor Yarashak, the most recent driver to win in qualifying series competition. And fun fact, this is actually the 3rd configuration of Homestead that has existed in real life after a reconfiguration in the late 90s and in 2003 when they gave it the banking we have now.
Love those details, James, but Ryan's getting me pumped. You can hear how excited he is doing this in real life, knowing how good this will be tonight on the sim. You guys got me excited for Homestead-Miami Speedway. This is where they crown champions.
It's where they crown champions, and there's a reason why it's the championship track, and we're going to see a lot of it tonight. But Alan, I think we have an interview getting ready to line up here, but one of the goats.
One of the goats, one of the best to do it. Someone who's waiting to see who comes out of the qualifying series. It's our man, Bobby Z. Bobby Zielinski, thank you so much for joining us tonight. How you been?
I've been great, just kind of enjoying the offseason, enjoying watching these broadcasts and the qualifying series. Looking forward to the championship series.
Each day we get closer to that championship series and seeing you again, and I hear you have some news for us as to where you may be.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it with ERA Esports for 2026. Very glad to be back and continue this relationship we started with last year. And again, yeah, just really want to win a championship with these guys, and one for me for once.
Yeah, I hear that. What brought you back? Because we know that was new last year, a new relationship, and those relationships can be so important. What brings you back to ERA Motorsports?
Yeah, I really liked the leadership last year when I was trying to find a new team. So that's what got me in the door. And, well, working with Jesse, working with Matt and everybody there, I mean, it's a great opportunity for me to help them grow, for them to help me grow, and to just win together and do a lot of fun stuff and fun events and such. And doing the ERA events, like, it's a great place to be, and they really trust me, and that's all you can ever really ask for is a good relationship with your team owners, team managers, all that.
Yeah, they should trust you. It's a no-brainer on their part. Bobby, I'll say your stats for you. You've been to 6 of the last 9 series finales, still chasing down that championship. What is the secret sauce, though? We know how good you are on road courses, but it takes more than that. What's the secret? Tell everybody, please.
It's a great stat to have, but I wish at least one of those was a championship. And that's what we're still trying to do. And I guess the key to making it that far consistently is always like never trying to stay settled in your own driving style. I've had to reinvent my driving style in little ways like pretty much every year to make sure I can win any race I go compete in. And I'm also working with really good people, and I've really focused on staying with good people for setups and stuff. And I've also worked on the setups myself. I think that's a really big factor is you got to be driver and engineer.
We know that there's already a pool of championship drivers. We're going to watch some of the drivers tonight who hope to be the other half of that field come championship season. Who would be your ideal teammate, if you don't mind saying?
Well, there's a few guys. I'd love to have Michael Cozy back because I think we could build on what we did last year. We finished top 5 in points, and we could definitely improve on that in top 5 in team points. Guys like Seth the Merchant, who are really underrated as well, and Chris Money Hill. Definitely, love Tucker Minter, but man, every time we play iRacing Arcade recently, he's just throwing me in the fence. It's like, I'd love to be his teammate, but maybe I have to have him as a teammate for him not to wreck me. I don't know. But every time in iRacing Arcade, he calls me the bulldozer, man. This guy's a weapon. He's just messing with all of us on Altus.
Yeah, Tucker Minter seems like such a nice guy. He's like Joey Logano when he puts on that helmet, apparently. But
yeah,
look, Bobby, you're known for your road course prowess. We have gone international the last few years. Been to Monza. I'm thinking Mexico City, Brands Hatch. Is there any other international track you would love to see on the schedule? Because we know you're going to be good there.
I think I would narrow it down to Red Bull Ring. I think it would be really fun to watch a race there. There's a couple pretty good braking zones there, and it's not too complex of a road course. So I think you'd see like most of the field kind of stuck together most of the race. It'd be really competitive because it is not some complex road course. I like tracks like Spa and Hockenheim just personally, but I think for a good race, Red Bull Ring would be pretty awesome.
All right. We appreciate it. Looking forward to where you end up, who your teammate is, and starting that championship series not too long from now. So keep sharp, and we look forward to it.
Heck yeah, man.
All right, Bobby Zielinski. Always good to hear from one of the best. We're getting ready to go racing at the Homestead-Miami Speedway. Ryan, what are your final thoughts at a track like this?
Man, my final thoughts. You guys have heard my excitement this whole show so far. I'm just excited to see these O'Reilly cars slipping and sliding through the corners, banging the boards, dragging that right rear quarter panel against the fence. James, I know we are in for an absolute treat.
I think that's true not just of tonight, but of this entire segment of the qualifying series that's going to use the O'Reilly Series cars. These are 3 tracks that put the outcomes really in the driver's hands. So if you're a driver competing for a spot in the top 30 and you want to go get a spot in the Coach Series, the canvas is there for you to do the work. You have to go execute now. That's part of your job.
Yeah, it's going to be so interesting to see what this change from the truck to the O'Reilly car means for the top of the field. Will it be a big change? Can someone take advantage of it? We are going 7 straight weeks, 4 races with the O'Reilly car, 3 back in the Cup car, and that will finalize who gets to go to the championship series. I cannot wait. It starts tonight at one of the best tracks out there. Multiple lanes, multiple grooves, eats up the tires. Not too many tire sets. It's going to be strategy tonight. Looking forward to when we drop the green flag. Stay with us. It happens right after this.
Racing isn't just a game, it's a way of life. Every lap, every moment. Practice is about consistency. Winning doesn't come easy.
Yo!
My turn, Bubba.
Feel the road, own the race. Logitech G wheels and pedals available now on Amazon.
the best of the best because Ray Alcala no longer stands alone as the only multi-time champ. Wilson is the 25 eNASCAR champion.
Hey, they tried to drag me down, but look who's laughing now. Look who's laughing now. I believe in something that I can't explain. The wind is calling out my name. Let it rain on me. You know I couldn't be ours, and I'm not gonna wait in line. I'm gonna take what's mine for the world to see. You gotta take the lead. You gotta feel the fire. It's all I see, and I still believe. You gotta take the lead, take the lead, take the lead, take the lead.
Live from iRacing's virtual Homestead-Miami Speedway, we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to round 5 of the 2026 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing qualifying series. It is the site of what will be NASCAR Championship Weekend once more later this year, where we kick off what we'll call the second segment of this Coke Series qualifying campaign. And as always, happy that you're hanging out with us here on a Tuesday night on the iRacing Esports Network. With Alan Cavana, Kenneth Bueno, and myself, Evan Pusoko. And KB, we have seen the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series trucks now come and go. We are 4 races in, and now it is time for the cars of the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series to shine, which may mean, do we see some of the drivers who have been good shift up a little bit? Completely different kind of racing. We'll do it again when we see the Cup cars later on, but this is the first big shift that we're seeing in this season.
And with the heart of this campaign through the 4 races with these cars means probably the hardest of difficulty in the heart of it all through 3 tracks that starts tonight. Homestead, Auto Club, Darlington. Probably the 3 hardest tracks to drive with this specific car, and being disciplined enough to take care of your tires and maintain a run until the end. And starting off with Homestead-Miami, a track that's known for multi-groove racing. You can rip the boards, you can run the inside line, you can do whatever you can here at Homestead, and that's what makes it so fun. And really with these cars, brand new update, Alan, that means things shift a ton for the drivers having to prepare for only about a week.
Just one more factor that they all have to think about. This is a new segment of this qualifying series, a new challenge from trucks to the O'Reilly cars. I love how you describe Homestead-Miami Speedway. You think about the real-life version, the Kyle Larsons of the world, the Tyler Reddicks running on the wall as close as you can. It takes talent, the best of the best win here, but it gives you options if you want to make those passes, use those tires and the strategy. This is a track that will offer it all tonight, and it is so important because there's only 7 chances left in this qualifying series to make the championship series for that $100,000.
And I think there is no way that you can look at this ladder, these 3 different rounds, and of course not make note of the fact that, we used to do this over the course of a full year, working yourself through these different campaigns. They've got to be able to flip that switch over the course of just now several weeks. And Kenneth, we do have that one drop race mulligan that's given to the driver, so their worst finish of these 11 races will not count against them, but that's still not a lot of margin under this new format.
And also, you want to make sure that you capitalize on every one of these tracks. If you feel the intermediates are your style, you're going to love this round. Homestead, Darlington, even a bit of Auto Club, as big as it is as a track, you can still sort of categorize it as an intermediate. A lot of drivers last week at Phoenix felt there were so much things left on the table that now they'll have to take possibly as their mulligan round. But with all of the splits, we have 15 total here tonight, right in the beginning of this O'Reilly Auto Parts segment. That means tires are going to come at a premium, and here at Homestead-Miami, boy, it doesn't make it quite easy on a hot track temperature, especially in the spring, summertime. here in South Florida. This one, Auto Club Darlington, Bristol, the 4 in the heart of the schedule, and that's really what is going to be, Evan, the turning point of the championship. If you couldn't get yourself in a rhythm the first 4, now you've got to find yourself around. If you've been bouncing well through the first 4, now you've got to pivot into a second gear and shift into a big mindset to go right into the qualifying round at the end of it with a large points tally. All for play at tracks that I'd say probably the most difficult with these cars.
Yeah, and, the World Baseball Classic's down the street in the Miami area tonight as well, Alan. So I'll use a baseball analogy, and I'll say we're kind of choking up on the bat a bit, right? I mean, first couple of weeks, a lot of big swings in the points. We're not going to see those huge swings. There's going to be less and less of those as we get deeper into the calendar, and we talk about the splits and how that plays in. This is the first week all year where somebody who competed, really any driver who competed in split 5 or lower, not represented by the top 30 in points. So those margins get thinner. The names are going to stay around a little bit more. It's going to be harder to dig yourself out of a hole the deeper we get into this thing.
The deeper we get in, the better the competition is, right? And that's going to be tougher and tougher to climb those ladders. That's why it only gets more interesting tonight, the start of the O'Reilly car part of our schedule.
Well, qualifying has drawn to a close. Let's go down and take a look at your Coca-Cola starting grid. And your only multi-race winner in the top splits this year is on pole again. Sebastian Barron with a 32.905 going to bring us to the green flag. Eddie Kerner going to be alongside on the outside of row number 1. Cody Bias and Quinton Warmond will start on row number 2 with Andrew Navarro and Adam Garza on row 3. Blake Reynolds and Michael Cozy Jr., one of the Coca-Cola feature drivers, will be on row 4 and 7th and 8th. And then Ray Alfala and Garrett Lowe, round 3, your top 10.
Back in 11th is Matthew Morton, who finished 11th in the Contender Series back way in 2024 with this exact combo. Brian Mercurio on his outside for North Force Racing. John Hall going to roll the 03 in 13th. Kenny Brady for the Las Vegas Inferno back in 14th. Logan Clampett in the One Machine closes out the top 15. That'll be someone to watch as well. Michael P. Frisch, a hometown driver, not too far away in Fort Lauderdale, the 58 in 16th place. Matt Busa back in 17th with Garrett Maines, winner earlier on this season at Rockingham. In 18th, Octavia Rondeletto back in 19th, and Sean Conklin rounding out tonight's top 20 on the grid.
Daniel Falkenham won the top split season opener a couple of weeks ago, but he has slipped down to 24th in the points. He starts 21st tonight on the grid. Next is Kwame Scott in 22nd. Kevin Champagne starts 23rd with Cody Johnson in 24th, and John Forbes Jr. through your top 25. Graham Bolin in the Pioneers colors drives his 48 car off from 26th on the grid. He's ahead of Justin Smith and Christopher Pfeffer out of row 14, and Wyatt Tinsley and Peyton Howell, your top 30.
And back in row 16, Rocky Boyd III, followed by Justin Campbell on the outside, and to round out a 33-car field, Matthew Boniface in the 23. Going to be shotgun here from Homestead-Miami.
It's a look top to bottom at your Coca-Cola starting grid. We will be joined by Coke Championship Series veteran Bobby Zelensky as tonight's race gets underway. But as the cars roll off pit road, Alan, let's get lined up and ready for this one and take a look at our Coca-Cola race analysis.
Yeah, this Homestead-Miami Speedway, it's 100 laps tonight, a distance of 150 miles, mile-and-a-half track. Pit road speed, 45 miles per hour. 3 tire sets available with the estimated pit window, 53 to 58 laps. Fuel shouldn't be an issue, but you're going to want tires if you know anything about this track in real life or on the sim. That fresh rubber always going to help.
I would be remiss, Kenneth, if I did not give you the last word before we go racing here in Homestead-Miami. What do we need to know about this racetrack?
Well, we need to know that this track is wide open, especially on the worn tires. You can move up to the middle, you can run the wall, do whatever you can to find any bit of momentum. This track is very slick, very fun to drive. Final word I got to give to these drivers, dale, let's go.
Enter the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series cars for the next 4 weeks of this qualifying series. Sebastian Barron, can he possibly seek out a third win in 5 weeks? We're going to find out. Let's go racing in Homestead. Already a couple of cars ripping a third lane through 1 and 2. They'll be 3 wide, back at about the number 10 spot. But Sebastian Barron, single file clear for the race lead. coming to the end of the first mile and a half in this 100-lap contest.
You could already see Kenny Brady, that white, black, and gold Las Vegas Inferno Toyota Supra, just ripping the high lane there on an opening corner. He wanted to make sure he can rally the momentum. There's progressive banking that goes up to 20 degrees near the wall here at Homestead. So if you can rally your throttle in very early by mid-corner, you can get a good run off the exit. That's exactly what Sean Conklin has on the outside there entering turn 3. And although it does rip apart the right rear tire very early on in the run, want to make sure you do maximize that momentum whenever you can, especially here.
A little wiggle for Michael Cozy Jr. in the 3 car in the featured Coca-Cola there, chasing down his teammate Ray Alfala. But, you know, early on, tough racing, 3 wide down the backstretch and then into those corners. That's going to wear your tires, but everyone trying to use the fresh rubber to their advantage. I knew this track had options, guys. I didn't think they'd be using them all so early.
Color us shocked that these drivers are aggressive out of the gate. They love when they're given a racetrack and a car combination like this that puts it in the driver's hands and lets them be aggressive. They have decided to take that option early. Those Coca-Cola cars still side by side. It's Cozy and Alfala at a battle for 8th and 9th position. Just in front of them, it's Garza and Reynolds, and behind them, it's Conklin and Brady. There's battles everywhere you look inside of the top 10. The furthest change up the running order was for second. Cody Bias around Kerner for that spot in the battle for P2. You go on board with Alfala, working the inside, only 2x2 from him on up. You see in the back, though, one lone car way to the very outside, as everybody, for the most part, playing nice. That was Cody Johnson way up top.
And Evan, if there is anyone that really wants a good run with these O'Reilly Auto Parts Series cars, it could be Ray Alfala. I mean, he's a Cuban, he's from Miami, he's lived here before, and he qualified back into the Coke Championship Series way back, what was it, 2019, 2020, with these exact cars. Now, they're very different from what they were back then, but he still had a shot, and he still made it work. He was still dominant in that form. So Alfala, after a bit of a shaky Phoenix last week in 18th, doing well right now to solidify a top 10.
And that's a look at second place, Cody Bias, as they're trying to chase him down for that second place. Cody Bias, one of those drivers who knows the feeling, right, of being in the championship series, trying to climb this ladder once again in the qualifying series. A good run, a good start. The O'Reilly part of this schedule would go a long way in doing that, but except Matt Marin's not even in the picture, guys. I mean, he seems to be doing good at every track we go to.
It's been really impressive what we've seen out of him. You would be easily confused that that's the battle for the race lead, but that's Cody Bias on back. That's how far ahead of Aaron's got. He's got about a 0.6 of a second jump over everybody else. So side-by-side action on the top of your screen, but like always, it's not just one race going on. Several splits will be jumping back and forth between split 1 and split number 2. So these splits are determined based on iRating of all of the drivers who registered for the session. The top 36 are in split 1, the second highest group of 36, split 2, so on and so forth. The points are incrementally less each split down the ladder you go, but a decent percentage of your top 30 filled with drivers who have been and are actively competed in split number 2. It's at least a dozen of your top 30, so there are plenty of points available. Split number 2 equally as critical, and we'll be checking in with them over the course of this race. Is slotting in line behind the 03 machine there in a bit of a side-by-side battle is the onboard perspective from what I think is John Hall up there on the outside of the racetrack. Now on board with Daniel Falkenham on the outside of the racetrack in this battle for P14.
You gotta love all the options here at Homestead-Miami. I mean, watching Hall, watching Falkingham, the way they rip the middle, I mean, sometimes you have no choice, got a car on the inside, but for the most part, once we get maybe 14, 15 laps into a green flag run, the rubber will start to build up on the bottom, track gets real slick on the inside, and so you gotta think, all right, chase the grip, find the middle, maybe find the higher side of the racetrack. Saw that a lot at Phoenix last week, even in the higher downforce NASCAR Craftsman Trucks machines. Just the way you have to expand your horizon, see where you find speed, and for Falkingham, who competed in the Coke Championship Series race here last season to close out 2025. Wasn't the finish he wanted then, but it is same racetrack you got to deal with, just a different car, and he's very much experimenting with the high lane right now.
And that's Quentin Warman in the 84 car in 4th place right now. Shout out to him in that paint scheme. That is a throwback. Looks to be a Hendrick type, you know, with that neon Jimmy Johnson, 84-48 reverse there. Beautiful stuff for Quentin Warman tonight, who needs a good run to stay up in the points.
You can't not like the yellow numbers. Big fan of yellow numbers. Just like flames on a race car, right? There's a couple things you just can't hate on. That looks good on the Warman machine. Jumping back to the battle we were looking at just a bit ago. Again, this is just outside of the top 10 where we stand now. It's John Hall on the bottom. That's the 03 Nexus machine. And then the car way to the outside. That's another fancy-looking machine. That's Kwame Scott ripping the outside. Huge run using those progressive banking off the top side of the racetrack to his advantage. He'll get the spot away from Hall, and Kwame is on the move. That was what is his 8th position picked up on the night. That only makes him the 3rd most spots gained, though. A couple of drivers to note. Sean Conklin's up 11 spots to 9th, and Daniel Falkenham, who we talked about a little bit ago, up 9 spots to 12th. So a lot of drivers in the midfield making some headway early. Let's jump in and take a look at some full screen action from split number 2. Now, we talked about some of the major names. We've talked about Hocevar. We've talked about Caruth. How about a guy that's competing full-time in the Craftsman Truck Series? Caden Honeycutt here in split number 2 right now, running P22.
It's so cool when you get to see some of the current NASCAR stars of today be competing alongside all of these iRacing hopefuls trying to get into the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series. And how about it? I mean, to learn from the best, really, to try and race around some of the drivers that are working their way up the ladder. And speaking of O'Reilly Auto Parts Series cars, this is an O'Reilly Auto Parts Series driver, Parker Retzlaff. Used to run for Jordan Anderson Racing, drives a 99, just finished a race this past weekend, and so far back in 17th. But I think, honestly, Honeycutt and Retzlaff, knowing their skill level, Alan, I think they're giving themselves a challenge. Maybe try to sandbag in qualifying a little bit, see how much they can rip their way through the field and have a bit of fun.
It's fun to see them be here and show what's going on. Parker Retzlaff in the top 10 right now in O'Reilly Sierra's Auto Parts in the point standings in real life. So for him to come back and join us here tonight is really fun. Looking right now at the 6th place car, the 30 of Daniel Nanny here in split 2. Haven't seen his name pop up in a lot of the splits and a lot of the point standings so far, but good to see him in split 2 running well.
He's a bubble driver right now. 28 points to the good. Normal NASCAR points tells me that's pretty safe, but the way these splits work, 28 is on the bubble, so he's 29th in the points. Has been doing enough, but again, that margin for error is a little bit thinner when you're in split number 2, and unless more drivers continue to drop out, we've seen some drivers go from split 3 to 2, and some go from 2 to 1, but you're not going to make a huge jump into the top split unless a lot of really big names just don't show up. You have to be a top 5, top 10 car in split 2 if you want any chance at qualifying. Yes, there's plenty of points available, but they are available at a lesser rate than what you see in the top split. So lower margin for error the further down the running order you get. And again, there is nobody who competed in anything lower than split number 4 that is actively in the top 30 in points. So it goes to show you that even though there may be 15-something splits going on right now, you really do need to prioritize getting your iRating in a position to be competitive this time of year. When this series comes around, we knew that this format change was coming for just over a year, I'd say, right? Learning last year through the championship series that the old 3-tiered Road to Pro ladder would go away. A lot of drivers put in a lot of time racing official KB last year to get that iRating in a position to put themselves in a split number 2 like this to get the points that are available.
Yeah, they had that time to think about what kind of format they were going to deal with, and when they got it, I mean, they're thinking, all right, well, I've got to be on my toes every single week. If not, I'm going to be falling behind very quickly. A lot of drivers very much like that challenge. And when we talk about splits, you know, I kind of think of it like a window, right? If you have it all the way open on a hot summer's day, all the cool air, you know, some of the air is going to come in for the most part. But then if you slowly close it, if you continue to close it, then all that space for the air to come into the house starts to kind of dwindle a little bit. That's where the points the drivers are working for right now, at a very narrow limit, and how much you can kind of amplify your advantage, or maybe go beyond from a disadvantage to an advantage. You know, like Pitbull said, from a negative to a positive, right? You want to be right on top of that bubble. And Dylan Basin made great runs so far, getting chased down by Thomas Lloyd, who was in contention to win at Phoenix last week in the Craftsman Trucks. These two going at it for the lead.
We've got Kenneth, we've got Pitbull, now Dylan Basin, another Florida guy racing in the lead there. Guys, he has been, he's only 19 years old, but he's been iRacing for 8 years, so it's fun to see someone, put in the time and effort, now getting a challenge for the lead, but to be leading in Split 2 in the qualifying series. Needs some sponsorship, needs a nice paint scheme on that car. Maybe a win will go a long way into attracting some partners if he can hold on to this lead, but good racing up front.
Yeah, I want to counter on the scoring pylon for the number of Pitbull references that Kenneth Bueno is going to sneak into this broadcast. That would be a good prop bet on what's higher or lower than that or the number of yellows. Meanwhile, Basin was able to hold off that challenge from Thomas Lloyd for the meantime, but the gap did shrink. Opposite story here in split number 1. Sebastian Barron, well, his gap's about doubled since the last time we checked in with this picture full screen. More than a second and a half over Eddie Kerner, who runs the number 2 spot. So Kerner still stable, having been able to take that spot away from Cody Bias. Remember, Bias took second away from Kerner in the opening laps. Bias has started to really drop back since we stepped away. He's down into the number 6 spot, allowing guys like Warman, Navarro, and Garza to pick up some spots in the process.
And this is that magic point of the race. Lap 21, you go beyond that under a green flag run, and you're seeing the drivers now doing a slide job then in 1 and 2, looking for the momentum there off the progressive banking, but that's the heart of the run. If you get really good on the short run, chances are that medium to long run pace, you'll start to reach that cliff point in your tires. Grip is not as much of a premium, or it becomes a premium, then you start to lose it. And then all of a sudden, you're kind of hanging on by a thread, waiting for some fresh Goodyear Eagles. And from what I've seen out of Sebastian Merritt, it seems like even though the car has changed, Evan, the fundamentals driving has not. And that's the same that a lot of drivers will take in there. And for Merritt, it seems like long run pace has been the key for him to just dominate the opening sector of this race. Still a long way to go, but that fundamental aspect of keeping calm on your tires and keeping your pace up at the same time, Merritt has been able to strike that balance very well.
In this battle we're watching back in the field, you can see every time they go through the corner the different options that this track gives you, right? Down on the bottom, a solid middle groove, and then way up where the 6 car is, riding the wall and actually seeing it as something of an advantage coming off the corner, gaining ground, gaining momentum coming off the corner. Options are what this track is about and what the drivers love about it.
3 wide just behind them. John Hall got a bit of a hip check with a move from Wyatt Tinsley and others, but they're able to sort it out for the time being. And there you see Hall up on the outside lane trying to hold off a challenge from behind. That was Michael P. Frisch trying to get underneath him. But once again, the top side carries the speed off the corners better. It's the place to be. And now down at this end of the racetrack, complete opposite lane. He likes the high side in 1 and 2, but John Hall goes down to the bottom in 3 and 4. Is he going to slide up in front of Frisch? Thought about it, but the 58 used that same move to his advantage this time. Uses the speed to pull alongside. This battle is about 6 seconds and change off of the battle for the race lead. We do have our first yellow of the night down in split number 2. But meanwhile, your top split drivers, you blink. Kenneth, we're almost 1/4 distance through this race.
You know, it almost feels like a marathon when you're on old tires and you're just trying to survive, but it's a short race. I mean, we're almost near halfway, and you blink of an eye and it's going to happen like that. John Hall, by the way, might be the only Miami Vice-style paint scheme that I've seen so far in top split, which, I mean, I know he wants to feel this moment, you know, kind of in the front of the field, and he's having to jockey for position right now, but he's doing the best that he can as everyone just spreads across. And you look at this Homestead-Miami Speedway, and I love the way the drivers are using the different lanes based on what they're seeing, because the sun is out there. There is cloud cover that's hitting certain parts of the track, so there was a bit of shade in 1 and 2. You'll see a lot more drivers go up the racetrack because they have higher grip. When the sun beams on the racetrack like you see in 3 and 4, Evan, they have to cling to the bottom. They don't want to waste their tires at the very top of the track and using all of that throttle. So it's really cool to see how the track conditions change. And there's split number 2. Replay, just all those cars together. Car going to the inside wall, and I think that's under the apron. That did bring out the yellow, though.
Yeah, that was Trevor Huff, the driver who went around. So that's where the trouble is for the driver out of Kansas City, Missouri, having them under their first yellow of the race. So we'll check back in with them when they come back to the green flag. But meanwhile, here again, working lot number 26, Sebastian Barron's advantage continues to grow and grow. It is now over 2 seconds total. For the race winner just 2 weeks ago in Phoenix, a couple of weeks before that in Las Vegas. I mean, we knew Sebastian Marin was good, but there was some question, right? I mean, the trucks and the O'Reilly cars, I think, Alan, closer to each other than either of them versus the Cup cars. So we will still see a bigger change later when we go to those Cup cars as caution is out, trouble on the back, and it is yellow flag number 1 for Kenny Brady. But Sebastian Marin at least early proving that trucks or O'Reilly, he's liking it.
And that's the versatility. The question that we didn't know, would this be an opportunity for some? Right now, it's even more of an opportunity for Sebastian Marin, who's showing us how good he can be no matter what the type of vehicle, as that 2-second lead will be erased here after the caution, but a chance for everyone to get potentially some fresh rubber as the caution car picks them up. But you were saying, I mean, anytime they switch the vehicle, we have to imagine someone will jump at this opportunity. But for Sebastian Marin in top split to be doing this, what he's doing so far early on, has to be a message to the rest of the field.
Well, it's going to be the field's first chance to catch their breath and catch back up to him, because it seemed like as we were getting longer into the run, some drivers start real good and struggle later on the run. That was absolutely not the case for what you were seeing out of Marin. He was only pulling further and further away, but we will group things up and likely look to the pit lane just shy of the 1/3 distance marker in this race. And here come all of your race leaders down pit road for service. Sebastian Marin's got the benefit of the last pit stall. It should help him defend what will be the control car position for the restart. But we'll watch as it's Marin, Kerner, and Warman down pit road, if that's the order they exit in.
This portion of the broadcast is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. Logitech G, the official wheel and pedals of eNASCAR. Sim Racing Expo. From the green hell to the Queen City, the world's largest sim racing expo is racing into Charlotte, Memorial Day weekend.
Let's take a look at Kenny Brady in turn number 2. That's Alfala in the Coca-Cola car in front of him. Into the outside, Garrett Lowe. And the 54, I think, got sideways. He was kind of walking it up the hill. I thought at first, Kenneth, maybe he was trying to get in between those two cars, but upon a second look, I think the 54 was just sliding up a little bit, hoping maybe that he would have that lane open on the outside to catch it, and he ran out of room because Garrett Lowe had a big run.
Yeah, it's that split-second decision where you see the car going up the hill and you're like, all right, well, do I block in front of the car on the outside, or do I try to just give them space? And it seemed like Kenny tried to keep the throttle in while giving the space to Lowe, knowing he was going to have that run on the outside. So that's just that simple contact getting the 54 around. Watch the great racing here in split number 2 to the inside. We're just about 3 wide, where Jake Nichols is already on the bottom. That Ford Mustang, bright purple paint scheme, entering turn 3. Tyler Gary, Daniel Nanny right around this entire battle, and Joseph Galata not too far behind either.
Keeping an eye to see that 42 machine of Carson Bowers also going to force a 3-wide move to the outside. It'll put Noah Bitts in the center. That 42 should be able to carry this speed through the corner. Can he get by both of them? He'll get the pass done on Bitts, and it's going to put him alongside the number 9 on the bottom. That's Caden Honeycutt, who we talked about a little bit earlier. Last time we checked in with him, I think he was high teens. Honeycutt now knocking on the spot inside of the top 10 as he and Connor Shong ahead of them, battling for what's going to be the 10th and 11th position. So just like we saw for the initial start, drivers wanting to be aggressive off of the restart, taking advantage of all of these cars being grouped up together. Dylan Basin, though, continues to lead. Jose Solis Jr. in the number 2 position. As in the top split, we're going back green flag racing. It's Marin and Warman on the front row. Green flag back in the air. They've got a lapped car to the inside. They're going to have to navigate. Look out as Boniface slides across the nose of the field. He'll get to the outside. It's going to get Marin clear, but it's going to check him up off of 2 and almost cause a problem.
It was almost 3 wide at the bottom there. Kerner had to skirt to get around. A tough restart, ended up with Warman back to the inside. And now here comes Andrew Navarro, who was hounding on the top 5 for a good majority of that first run. Points and fires to the inside. For now, Marin pulls away for the moment, but with such an awkward restart, having that Boniface lap car in the front of the field, kind of unlapped until now. 3 wide in the middle of the pack, and Cody Bias in the middle.
This is the moment these drivers, new tires, fresh restart, you have to take advantage of it. This is the closest they've been to Sebastian Marin all night. Quentin Warman was able to navigate that awkward situation. Now it's these cars behind him, Kerner, Navarro, Bias, that have to keep close with the leader of Sebastian Marin if they want to have any shot at winning this race, because Marin has clear sailing still at the moment. They have to take advantage.
Yeah, we'll see if this just plays exactly like the opening stint did, or if somebody has learned something by following in the wake of Sebastian Marin to see if they're not going to just let him stroll away like he did last time. That's Conklin way up on the outside line. Look at the 35 of Bolin sliding up and shutting the door. It was a bit of a block that he put on Matt Busa that time, but works out nonetheless. Wyatt Tinsley's number 20 car, he's in the middle, is committed to the outside, I'll give you that. Sticking to the bit is Garrett Maines up on the outside of the racetrack, keeping it 3 wide. His battle's over for about 12th position on back as the iRacing drone chases them into turn number 1 at about 170 miles an hour. They get down to about 145. That's your center off speed, and then they'll continue to accelerate, obviously, all the way back down the back straightaway. You see that Coca-Cola number 2 of Alfala, 3 wide. Garrett Lowe to the center. That battle all going on just behind the number 48 machine of Graham Bolin and Adam Garza, as Garrett Lowe picks up a spot with that slick move.
And you're going to engage in all these battles, Evan, but you really want an open playground when this long green flag run eventually kicks in. You do not want to have to deal with constantly using the middle or the high side just to play a bit of defense on those that are just trying to gain positions underneath you. So you're seeing everyone make these large moves, 3, 2 wide, going inside, outside. That's because they want to clear themselves as quickly as possible just to settle into their race car and not have to deal with any of the negativity that can come with constantly battling side by side. Reynolds wiggles the right rear at the exit of 4. Here comes Conklin, a push for Matt Busa, and no can do to get to the inside of the track racer Toyota Supra on the bottom, and this is just getting fun. These are drivers that have worked their way through the field for a good portion of this first run, Evan. Now they're getting to work in the top 5.
Worth noting as well, because we were watching second split when it happened, Alan, it was a universal decision for every single car that I can see that came down pit road. 4 tires at fuel. No shocker there, but figured we should have mentioned it. So the only positions gained or lost on pit road, maybe 1 or 2 here or there, but nobody stepped out of line on the strategy as Quentin Warman sees Eddie Kerner now, the latest driver, to go way to the outside, trying to get a run, but that car looks a little tail happy in the center of the corner. He's going to have to go for the crossover down to the bottom. He's got the speed, but now reverse roll into turn 3.
What a perfect setup to see if Kerner can get it done. Again, as each lap that goes by, the fresh rubber goes away. Quentin Warman doing everything he can to defend these positions, has the track position, and that's the advantage there. Beautiful move from Eddie Kerner to set that up, the high to low like that, but couldn't complete the pass. And guys, Sebastian Marin is not getting away like he did in that first stint of the race. Quentin Warman, the 98 Kerner just behind him, are well within sight, and they can run him down right now. Sebastian Marin not driving away like he was.
The gap right now, 2 car lengths between race leader Marin and challenger Quentin Warman. Marin has led all 37, soon to be 38 laps complete as you jump on board. With the driver in 8th position, Daniel Falkenham, I mentioned it on the grid, won the season opener in Daytona. He was at the top of the points, and it hasn't been bad, but it has been a steady slide from that point. Now finds himself 24th in the points, 131 above the cut line. Again, the number sounds good, but Marin's almost 600 above the cut line. There are way too many points on the line for Falkenham to get complicit, and a top 10 run tonight would do a lot.
But the possible thing right now for Falkenham is that he's got a fast car. He's up 13 since the drop of the green flag after starting back in 21st. So you can call him a fireball. He's been working well through the field when it mattered, and in this short run has been aggressive enough to play it safe in certain modes, but then be aggressive when it matters, when the drivers are around him, and that has allowed him to really make up a ton of these positions. You're right on board with Garrett Maines, who's had a bit of a different view in terms of the competition around him, because everyone here in the top 15, top 20, they're starting to really duke it out, and that's where you start to see maybe some of those heavy hitter names that maybe we saw at the front or nearer to the front earlier in the race start to drop off. Michael Cozy Jr. is in this mix. Michael P. Frisch is not too far behind, and that's a whole battle building behind Maines as he works on Matt Busa.
And for the most part, Garrett Maines had a successful first 4 races in the truck. You wonder if this is one of those, when they make the change to the O'Reilly cars like we are now, is part of that struggle, right? Is part of that having to adapt, and that's why we see him running 15th right now. Long way to go, but we can't forget that transition that all these drivers are having to go through, that versatility that they have to show to qualify and get through this entire series to make it to the championship series. Trucks, O'Reilly, and soon the Cup car.
A major Rockingham winner. Worth noting the 3 different drivers who we've seen win races so far this season in the top split, all running top 15 right now, with Marin, your leader, Falkenham at 8th, and Garrett Maines at 15th. We've touched on all of them in the last couple of laps. Looking at the number 41 machine doing battle just down into turn number 3, and right alongside is Michael Cozy Jr. Cozy slipped back after starting inside of the top 10. He's down in the number 19 spot. It is a very different story for the car, not that he's fighting with, but just in front of him, Peyton Howell, the most recent driver to make a move, up 12 spots, and Blake McCandless wants to do the same. Another night where there's no Q effort from McCandless. A majority of the field took a time at qualifying except for Larry Pace and Blake McCandless, and Blake has picked up 14 spots since he started basically at the rear with no qualifying time, and still with a long way to go, but it has been good forward progress in the opening half.
And McCandless loves this type of racing, Evan. When these cars are at the edge of control, when you can rip the high line, when you are at all-time disciplinary look in terms of what you have to do behind the wheel, he loves this type of stuff. I mean, he's on the boards right now. He's been doing it most of the night just to try and rally the positions that he's been able to gain so far. And look at this run he gets off of turn 2, battling against Cozy Jr. Flails to the outside, makes the move and clears. Brian Mercurio sitting back, but what a job it's been by McCandless as we near halfway, and that one caution definitely helped him just move up the first time. Now in increments, slowly making his way up through the field.
We talk about drivers making progress. Wyatt Tinsley is one of them. In fact, that time Wyatt just ticks 1 spot in his favor. That, for the moment, he was the biggest mover in town. However, now that Alfala's got a nose back in front of him, he drops back down to only 16 positions gained. He's in a bit of a 3-way race for the most positions gained right now between Graham Bolin, Wyatt Tinsley, and Daniel Falkenham, with a lot of positions picked up in this one. But Wyatt trying to make the move on the bottom of the number 2. Alfala has had a lot of success on the sim in these cars at this racetrack, and is trying to keep that here tonight. He's been loitering around P10 pretty much all night long in this same spot on track. But again, just watching the scoreboard, looking at the scoring pylon, 0.3 of a second the advantage for Marin. It is not growing at the rate that it did on the opening stint. Now, it's still going his direction, but not at the same rate. Is that a trend? How's that going to act up as we get deeper into a run that's been green for about 15 laps? That remains to be seen. But 4 laps from now, we're going to be halfway home as there's a big swing on the bottom as the 20 tries to get clear, and he can't do it. Sean Conklin would not let that happen. Drove it in deep on the outside and holds him off.
Good racing there from Wyatt Tinsley. This is sort of his MO in the first 4 races, right? Is that he drives through the field, and then it's at the end of the race where we see him running best. He had a poor qualifying effort tonight. Frankly, surprised me where he started. So to see him doing this once again, coming through the field, really needed to make that pass, though. It gets harder as you get closer to the front of the field. I think that's true in any racing series, but I think Wyatt's learning that right now. He's been good on the bottom in this lane, passing a lot of cars, but you have to make those clears if you're going to keep this momentum going.
Well, the Onboard with Ray Alfala gives you a good look at what it's like to race around the Homestead-Miami Speedway. And if you haven't done it already, reminder that NASCAR 25 is now available on Steam, Xbox, and PlayStation. You can feature all 4 of the NASCAR National Touring Series cars. We've been talking about how we got Cup, O'Reilly, and Truck featured in this qualifying series. You've got those 3 plus ARCA on NASCAR 25, featuring not only the laser scan detailed tracks that you would come to expect with a product from iRacing Studios, but 40-player online multiplayer, an in-depth career mode, and more. Make sure you get in on the action on NASCAR 25. Well, we mentioned he'd be jumping back on the broadcast with us, and happy to bring Championship Series veteran back into the booth. Bobby Zelensky's hanging out with us. And Bobby, first off, welcome. Thanks for hanging out.
It's great to be here. I've been watching the race with you guys, and really interesting seeing how all the lines are working, how the guys are racing.
Let's start there with this race specifically. I mean, you're no stranger to Homestead. Really, anybody who competes at the top level, they've done a ton of racing here, right, under this format or the old qualifying format. What is kind of your take on these O'Reilly Auto Parts Series cars and Homestead? A lot of drivers seemed like they were really excited this was week 1 with the car switch.
Yeah, it's also a big difference for these guys because we had the updated aero model, dirty air and such, and you've seen that be a big advantage to Sebastian, being able to control the race up there with clean air. That first run, he brought a big gap out. It looked like Eddie was maybe back in the rest of the field, but now everyone's a bit closer, and I'm a bit surprised that the top hasn't come in quite yet. We've seen people make it work, but I think a lot of the drivers are just concerned about lighting up their tires by running up there because the top does use your tires a bit more.
I'm not going to say that Sebastian has burst onto the scene or surprised anybody here, but he's got 2 wins in 4 weeks. And again, I know we're a long way from home. There's still half of this race to go, Bobby, but what can you say about, you mentioned on Countdown, you've been watching the series. What has Sebastian been doing that maybe has given him an X factor over the rest of the field?
Yeah, I mean, he's been around. I've seen his name around the top split scene, but he just kind of leveled up over the past few months. I think it's just as simple as he's figured out the cars, how to drive them on the limit, how to drive them consistently and not blow the tires off. And yeah, I mean, he's clearly going to be, so I mean, to me, it'd be a very big surprise if he wasn't in the championship series at this point. But, you know, you can never be sure until you're there. I'm a big fan. I think he's really good. And I think he's just kind of finally put everything together, and he's just simply driving faster than everybody. I mean, it's obvious when he's qualifying up front every week.
Bobby, what's it like to watch this series play out, the 11 races that we have, and everyone trying to make it to where you are? This is going to be your competition in just a few months. What's it like, you know, watching them try to get to where you are?
Yeah, I have a few guys I really pay attention to because they're my friends or like setup teammates or whatever. But I'm really looking forward to the last 3 races because that will be in the Cup car in which we race in the Championship Series. So I'm really curious to see how this group of drivers really adapt to that car. And yeah, that'll be a pretty decent preview of how they'll do in the Championship Series, I'd say. But I just enjoy watching, seeing new names, seeing people figure it out. You know, like I was here at one point and was learning and just trying to get better. And anyone's capable of making that jump from, you know, good driver to great driver.
And Bobby, of course, with this new streamlined format, it kind of makes it less of a grind, right? We had a whole year before with the old series format, and now with this, it seems to be much more of a fire-off effort to get into the championship series. And you mentioned you've been in it before. How difficult is it to be learning on the fly with this new format, and just that idea of you're getting to the next echelon, you're still chasing that next goal, and what that experience is like as a driver and just overall mentally as you work through the process?
Yeah, I mean, it's nice that it's an 11-week season because it's a really big sample size, and it'll show who the 30 best are. And as you go through this process, especially maybe the first couple rounds, because when I went for it back in like the end of 2016, that was structured very similar to this, where it was 9 weeks instead, and it was just the Cup car, but it was a straight up, you know, point system, and you make it in that top group, you're in the series. So I know throughout that year I progressed, and just by racing the best people, just started to just subconsciously get better from racing good people. And that is, I would say, the big benefit to a long season like this, and as well having this, pretty much all within like 3 months or less is really nice, just for the longevity. Hey, show up at the beginning of the year, do your stuff, and see if you make it. You don't have to wait all year to see if you made it for the next year. So I think it's overall better system.
See Daniel Falkenham right now engaged in combat, I'll say, with Garrett Maines. It's an aggressive fight for 11th and 12th, and Falkenham kind of all over the racetrack right now trying to make that spot his. Matthew Morton watching on, so is Matt Busa. A couple of other names that we're familiar with here on Tuesday nights that want to get in on the action. It's a big run for Maines. He'll cross down to the bottom, and they're 3 wide behind them as it's about 20th spot right now. It's Logan Clamp at the black number 1 Chevrolet through on the inside, trying to get around Alfala and Conklin, and I think he's going to get the 2-for-1 special. He's got both of them with a real good move on the inside of turns 3 to 4. Meanwhile, second split coming back underway after they had some trouble a little bit earlier as well. So they've had at least 2 yellows in split number 2. We've only seen the 1 caution so far in split number 1 as they're almost 4 wide off of turn 2. They are 3 wide down in split 2, but everywhere you look, Homestead providing action. And when you're in these moments like that, I mean, do you enjoy, Bobby, the kind of opportunity of the restart when drivers are crazy? Or I guess if you're anybody but Sebastian Barrett, maybe you want the cautions in the restarts, because plays like this gives you plenty of opportunities depending on how brave and aggressive you want to be.
Well, absolutely, especially if you're in the middle of the pack and you think you're fast enough to be up there battling for the lead, or at least the top 10. Like, you're wanting these opportunities if you feel you're fast, because that's the best time to get these positions. But when they last 10, 15 laps and you're still in this 2 wide, 3 wide scenario, and you're being forced to run up high, forced to run up low, using up your tires, it's tough.
I just saw 5 grooves in that second split, Bobby. I didn't know Homestead had that many.
Hey, there's plenty of room here, and that's the thing, right? You can run white line to wall and find grip, and you also have to find clean air. So it's another layer of the challenge for these guys, especially after the recent updates.
We see the 2 Coca-Cola machines leading the way on this Hornet's Nest. And again, this is back for, call it 21st position on back. Nearly 8 seconds off of the lead, but they're driving just as aggressively as if it was top-tier points on the line. Looks like John Hall's the 03 car. He's in the center of the 3 wide bit. The 30 of Justin Smith. Haven't talked a ton about him or Justin Campbell tonight, but they are 2 of those black cars in the middle of this field. Drivers really, again, trying to take advantage of the opportunities, but what stands out to me is we were talking about these Coke machines battling inside of the top 10 not that long ago, Kenneth, and now both Cozy and Alfala in the same battle with each other, except it's for P20 now.
And they're not the only drivers. I mean, you mentioned Hall. Now Alfala is going to take his trip down pit road, so the pit window has opened here with 38 laps to go. Blake McCandless is the first driver in. We know his chances at overextending a fuel tank as long as it can go in previous races in this type of format, but like a Sean Conklin or a John Hall and even the Coca-Cola machines, I think it's alluding to what Bobby just said not that long ago. When you're forced 3 and 2 wide, when you're forced to run all these different lanes, you're just automatically and subconsciously using your tires. And in that point, you just start to drift further back through the field. So on this level of grip that the drivers are on, which is kind of right now at a 0 in this long run, that's what happens. You have to force to fight aggressively. All of a sudden, that caveat is you just work your way backwards as a result because you're pushing so hard.
I love a track that offers the potential for strategy. The cars we're seeing pitting now, they have to do something different than what they've been doing. So they're going in, they're pitting early, short pitting the field. Remember, you pit now, the worse your tires are later if there are no more cautions, no more opportunity. But back toward the front of the field, we're still seeing a battle. This is for second and third place. Warman getting a challenge from Cody Bias. Bias fell back a little bit in this race, but he is slowly getting these positions back as we continue to see the field pit. But you have the battles going on at the front and the pit strategy going on for Graham Boland and crew and the rest of the field, who are going through it right now, trying to do something to put themselves in position for potentially the final run in this race.
Sean Conklin on the pit lane also. Michael P. Frisch over the radio says, I'm coming to pit road this time. Is that really as easy as it is, Bobby? I mean, these drivers pitted 36 laps ago, and there's 35 laps to go. So if you can't make it all the way to the end, is the best call always to split the difference, or do some of these drivers take into consideration some things like, if I pit early, do I lose a lap? Is that going to trap me down? Or can you not think of the uncontrollables and you just make the single decision that is best for your fuel strategy?
It's hard not to think of the uncontrollables because, yes, this is the optimal time to pit, but there's going to be people outside the top 20 who need points that are just going to stay out and run that tank dry. Maybe they were starting 30th on this last restart regardless, so they just filled the tank. Because a lot of these guys are pitting now, especially because they low fuel. They make sure there's less fuel in the car, so the car is lighter, so they're faster. But if you're in the back, you're like, I'm just going to fill this up and try to catch a caution, right? Like, caution is the ultimate thing you worry about when you're pitting. Because, yeah, if you're the leader and stuff, you can maybe wait a few laps, but ultimately you have to pit because you don't want to lose your lead. But then if a caution comes out, you can't predict that, right? So it's an impossible situation to know exactly what to do unless you're in the back. And there we go.
Right
Happens
on
to me
cue.
all the time.
34 laps to go. Caution is out, and it's the number 2 car involved in this one. So fresh off of pit road, in trouble for Ray Alfala. That car has heavy rear end damage. So we will see what happened that caused this as Top Split is under the yellow in the middle of a cycle of pit service. While we get that queued up, let's jump down to split number 2. Dylan Basin continuing to lead alongside Jose Solis Jr., Thomas Lloyd, Joseph Galata, and Tyler Gary, your top 5. And looking at a close call there as Tommy Gossett's 88 car had to roll out of the gas off the turn 4.
And Carson Bowers had to play a bit of defense there at the exit of turn 4. That's a driver who participates in the eNASCAR College iRacing Series. Probably will be a part of that Old Dominion Classic tomorrow night. A freshman at Purdue University, a Boilermaker, and a driver who is just stepping up into this scene with a new paint scheme and with a new alliance there with that Lassie and Williams Sim Racing. So an exciting partnership that he developed and announced with them in the early portions of the afternoon today. And you're just watching the great battles building up as that run continues. And this is going to be even more fun to watch, Evan. The leaders up at the head of the field are coming down. This is the money stop, theoretically, if we do not get another caution.
And remember, in theory, they're going to come out behind cars that have already pitted. So there is going to be some jump. We have not seen Sebastian Marin in any sort of traffic with any sort of real challenge tonight. He may have a big one to still win this race.
You see the replay, too, with what happened in the top split, and Ray Alfala had already pitted. To me, Bobby, it looked like he's coming up on cars who hadn't pitted, and that closing rate, kind of everything you know about how lapped cars would interact. In that case, Alfala's likely the lap car. How does the rules of engagement change during a pit cycle when the faster cars are actually the cars lower in the running order and closing rates are so tight, and it's just a lot harder to navigate, I would assume.
Yeah, and that's why guys like Sebastian and Cody Bias, they have the privilege to wait a few laps because they have good track position because of stuff that happens like that, where it's just usually it works out. The fast car knows exactly where to go, it times out right, but sometimes it just goes wrong, and it's real tough, especially with the difference between fresh and old tires being a couple seconds.
We see those positions gained and lost as we continue to watch split number 2. 2 things to point out. 1, no changes in the top 3. Basin, Solis, and Lloyd run exactly where they started. And then Joseph Galata's up 28 positions. The complete antithesis between those 2 groups of drivers. And Tyler Latterell's up 16. That's a good night. Tommy Gossett, who had a close call a few laps ago, he's up 17. So a lot of drivers doing good. Is you got Daniel Naney running right around the number 10 spot. That's where the 30's been about all night long. This group in split number 2 has had at least 2 yellows. So with split number 1 being under their second caution, these races are pretty much going to sync back up. Both of them on about a 30-lap run to the end of the race. That's all going to be coming up next. Also an update with your top split drivers who are getting set to go back green. Sebastian Marin, in the end, does end up cycling back through to the race leader. Garrett Lowe, Adam Garza, Wyatt Tinsley, some of the other drivers who had pitted under green were not able to cycle back around them on the caution flag cycle. So either stuck a lap down or stuck further back in the line, whatever the case was. Maybe a big moment avoided for Marin and company because they defend their running position. So there's really going to be no change from the drivers up front. It's going to be Marin, Bias, Warman, Kerner, Navarro inside of the top 5. 30 laps to go with the green flag back in the air.
And that's a wonderful jump by Sebastian Marin. That's the magic of the restart zone box. You can go at any point before that green flag is officially unfurled, and then you kick off the field. Marin decided to go a bit early in the box zone, and that left Quentin Warman and Cody Bias with a chance to react. Warman getting the upper leg there on the 14 machine, and everyone in the middle of the pack having to just figure out where they're going to be to start off this run. And Bobby, on these restarts, when you have the mentality of either quick car, and I've been fast all night long in the top 3 like Marin, or maybe a driver like Falkingham where periodically you've been working your way up to the field. How does that dichotomy of the mentality change behind that wheel when, you're either balancing aggression and conservative running and then, the pace of the car and everything that comes into balance at the end?
You also have to balance your points position because all these guys just want to make that top 30 at the end of it, and they know it's a long season. So it depends on your points position. Falkingham has fallen down a little bit, so I think he might be a little bit more conservative with it. He knows there's a big group of people behind him that he's been faster than the whole race because they stayed out. They were in the 20s just down. These guys are, from like 9th to 16th. So he has a bit of a buffer where he doesn't have to be super aggressive. But he's also probably thinking, well, what a great opportunity. Maybe I can get up to the top 5, and that is a points day he really wants.
Points are heavily weighted, as they are in any race, to the higher spots, but especially this format. This is not your standard points format that you're used to seeing in what is the championship series of this Coke Series. This qualifying series, the points are big numbers for the drivers running at the front of the field. And again, that maximum points allowed for the winner drops for each split. And therefore, what I'll call them decent points days are less and less available the further down across the different splits that you get. It is a pretty clean restart, all things considered, for these drivers in split number 1. You see number 32 of Peyton Howell way up on the outside. That was back at about 14th spot. But up here, Marin was just good on the restart again. It wasn't a stellar restart, didn't blow him out of the water, but was the first car to turn 1 and really never opened the door for Quentin Warman or Andrew Navarro. And again, 73, now 74 laps down. All of them continue to be led by Sebastian Marin in that number 2 machine. We thought, okay, we're changing to the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series cars. Maybe it's going to be the thing that shakes it up for Sebastian Marin, Bobby. I mean, even under the older format, at some point you did have to qualify into this series through all 3 cars, through the trucks, through the O'Reilly Auto Parts, and then to the Cup cars. Does condensing that ladder of 3 different vehicles into a couple months instead of over the course of a calendar year, does that actually increase the challenge on the drivers? Or for the guys at this level of sim racing, yourself included, are you already in tune enough with all 3 of these National Touring Series cars that you already, you may have to dedicate more time to it, but you're already pretty comfortable in what you can do?
Yeah, I mean, especially since this was announced quite a few months back, like a lot of these guys have been doing more races in the O'Reilly car and the truck and stuff to get used to these cars and just to get dialed in. But I would prefer, if I was coming up, a system like this, because like I said, it's over in 11 weeks. It's really just under 3 months. You don't have to wait all year to be disappointed. You could be disappointed in 3 months and then spend the rest of the year just racing, having fun, trying to get better for the next year. So just I think it's easier on the drivers from that perspective because they can stay locked in for only 3 months rather than a year. And you just actually get better competition this way too, and better races. Everyone's just at their best, in my opinion.
Well, we heard about it when we were chatting with you on Countdown to Green, but all these drivers competing to get a spot in the free agency period for the 2026 Championship Series. And you announced today that you'll be returning to the ERA Esports team for 2026. What's it like working with that group? I mean, in the modern team era, we've seen you with a couple of different outlets, and the folks over at ERA seem to be really invested in this series, and obviously so, because they wanted you back, and it seems like a good fit.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a good relationship because they really lean on me for a lot of the knowledge in this space. And then I'll lean on them knowledge for like social stuff, business stuff, sponsor stuff. And it's very much a good environment, positive environment of people that care. And that's what I really wanted out of my team, a team that really cares as much as I do about winning and believe in me. So it's a great group to be a part of. You know, we have the team, we have the ERA events. Next one's April 1st at Bristol. That series for just anyone to enter. So it's just a great environment, and I just didn't want to leave it. 1 year in, I wanted to keep it going. You know, why leave a good thing?
We're looking forward to that. It'll be a fun free agent frenzy, we'll call it, when we get down to the end of April and into May. This championship series kicks off May 19th. Just really 3 weeks once the qualifying series concludes. So we're certainly looking forward to seeing what the top 30 drivers in this can do, where they land, who they land with, and what that championship series, because that also gets a change, right? I mean, Bobby, we've talked about how the qualification has changed, but when you guys go racing in the championship series, that's going to change too. It's the same premise, but shorter schedule, compressed schedule, obviously less of a drastic change, but how does that change your mindset heading into that?
Yeah, the grind will feel less grindy. Now, by the end of the year, when you're in the playoffs, you got energy, right? But when the season ends, you're like, exhale, because it's been an 8-month season. Now it's a 5-month season, and it's only 13 races. I think the biggest adjustment is every race in the regular season is going to be that much more intense because you just don't have a whole lot of opportunities to have a bad race, or, you know, bad luck will hurt you a lot more being only 13 races. So that's, for me, the biggest adjustment. I was hoping we could fit a few more races in there, just have a bigger sample size. But yeah, it's less grindy feeling by the end of the season, but each race is a little bit more stressful.
It's understandable. Well, hey, we appreciate you joining us tonight, Countdown to Green, on the broadcast. Thank you for your insight. Congrats again on locking up the deal with the folks over at the ERA, and maybe we can bring you back again for one of these qualifying series dates. If not, we'll talk to you when the championship series comes around.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks. It's been enjoyable.
It's one of the veterans of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series, Bobby Zelensky, joining us on tonight's show. And if things go according to plan for him, and they do quite often, we may be talking about him here at Homestead on October 13th when the Championship Series will decide their champion a little bit later on this year. Meanwhile, top split inside of 20 laps to go. KB, Sebastian Marin, I'll say holding water, treading water, 0.2 of a second over Quinton Warman. It's the tightest that gap's been all night. We'll monitor that, but the battling is just as good throughout the pack as it's been all night long. We've been watching this battle around P23.
Well, Marin has not been the fastest car out of those drivers in the top three. Warman and Navarro are setting 34.2s. Marin is settling back in 34.3s, but I'd imagine with the long run we have at the end of this one, a little bit over 30 laps, he's thinking he's going to push in those final 10 or so. He's not going to waste his tire so early on. He'll let them think they have a chance, and then if he's got that potential, if he's been like that all night long like he has been, it's going to be just a matter of pulling away slightly but surely away from the rest of this field. How about some contact there? Entering turn one, Michael Cozy Jr. getting a tap there from Graham Boland, driver who finished third here at Homestead in the finale race last season in the championship series. Blake McCandless getting the short end of the stick and high wide into the outside wall as a result.
Yeah, so McCandless got up into the outside wall. He got the number 35 machine to Graham Boland. That's the white car with the iRacing decals up on the outside as Boland tries to stay ahead of Forbes and catch up to Cozy. Looks to the inside, but Forbes had the same idea from single file to almost 3 wide in a blink of an eye. Now Forbes, shallow entry, going to drift way up the hill. Can he find a spot in between? Yes, he does. Boland crosses back down to the bottom, Allen. I would have wanted maybe in addition to the Pitbull reference counter, how about a slide job counter on the night? All kinds of those moves out of turn 2 tonight.
All throughout the field. This is racing in the back of the pack. We cannot forget that. We hear this so much. I hear it on Saturdays and Sundays, how tough the racing is, the proverbial hornet's nest. As you get further back in the field, how tough it can be to race there, how much harder it is. We are seeing that tonight. here on the sim as look, Mr. Relax up here. Sebastian Mayer, not a worry in the world. I know he's locked in as the leader, but he's got a smile. I think he's got a smile on his face. I would too if I was been leading this whole time. It's just a matter, is he toying with the competition? I want to know what he's doing right now as we only have 14 to go, saving some of that tire for the end of this race.
I'd have a smile too if I'm 2 for 4 and leading all the way. Again, the gap is now starting. You just mentioned that, Kenneth, we were seeing faster lap times at Quinton and Andrew, but the last couple of laps, they have swung right back in the direction of Quinton Warman, and I think these guys are chatting with each other. I think that's what the conversation that you're seeing is between first and second.
Yeah, just a little banter between those two, maybe a bit of that competition banter at the end of it, or maybe just trying to solidify good finishes. Even if Marin wins this race, Quinton Warman's still coming away with second. It's not a race victory, but he's 115 points back of Marin in the points lead. He's still in the top 5, so as many good finishes as he can get, even if he's not winning, that means that Warman can really further solidify a spot back into the championship series later on this year. As for the rest of this field, it's going down. They're yelling timber. They're going all over the racetrack to figure out where they're going to be and figure out how many points they can gain in a matter of a space of time. Michael Cozy Jr., kind of in the same situation as guys like Sean Conklin, John Forbes Jr., spent the majority kind of at the back, waiting for their moment to shine. And now it's all about damage control as here comes Bolin back to the bottom.
Cozy had a chance, could have crossed him over, but that's the second time we've seen some hesitation at a Cozy on wanting to force the issue and make the crossover down to the inside of the racetrack, so he stays true to his line. Meanwhile, Forbes going to try to get the speed. John Hall doing the same, and again, to repeat, this is for 25th position on back, but they're racing like this. And there's a couple of these battles in the teens, not really in the top 10. They spread out a good bit, but every spot matters. If you like these cars, you only get 4 chances to maximize good results. If you feel like these NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series cars are your strong suit on the trifecta of touring cars that we see on the course of this 11-race calendar. Now there are just 10 laps to go from Homestead-Miami. Sebastian Marin continues to lead up at the front of the field. He has led now 91 laps uninterrupted. They say the bigger they are, the harder they fall, but Marin wants to make sure that that doesn't happen tonight. He is holding true in the number 1 spot. Quinton Warman starting to get aggressive, though.
An unbelievable performance so far that he's got to close out. And guys, I got to say, as the millennial of this group, I got to drop a Will Smith Miami reference because no one's done it yet. And Kenneth, maybe you're too young for this, but I'm just going to drop Bienvenido a Miami before we end this with 10 laps to go because Sebastian Marin's getting this job done. So far, only 0.3 of a second lead, but let's see if he can close it out.
Well, Sebastian Marin, Alan, can't feel a drip on the strip. It's a trip for him right now. He's at the front of this field and just balling at the moment, putting on a further gap. And like I mentioned, Evan, that tire crossover is what Marin was looking for. He was letting the 2 and the 3 catch up to him just a little bit, and now he's saying, well, I've got the better tires because I've saved them in the early run. I still have the clean air and thus all the speed. So he's using that to his advantage. Although Warman and Navarro are going to give him a tough fight for his money, Marin is kind of in a solidified spot, and it's really well for him. And it's so fun to see how this 11-week season, like Bobby says, it's less of a full grind, but the intensity ramps up when you got to be points racing every single night. And knowing drivers like John Hall and Michael Cozy Jr., if Phoenix was their mulligan round, they got to get a lick back tonight from Homestead-Miami. And even if it's in the battle for 25th on the racetrack, that is what's going to cut it now with 7 laps to go.
And we mentioned it right off at the top. I mean, there are some tough races coming up in this O'Reilly Auto Parts Series car segment alone. With Darlington, with Bristol coming up. We got the plate track out of the way. We got through Daytona. If you survived Rockingham, this might be the scary segment because these cars are free. It means you can do a lot at those racetracks, but it also means a lot can go wrong, and that is the risk versus reward and the opportunity that's given when you give the best oval drivers in the world a platform like this to qualify for a series where we are going to give out more than $500,000 in cash and prizes. This time by now just 5 laps to go in Homestead. Marin now with a 4.5 advantage over Quinton Warman in second. Is there anything that Warman hasn't shown us yet that he can pull out of the hat to get there? Navarro has slipped back. There is no pressure on the battle for second. It's a full 1 second difference to Navarro in third. Bias at Falkenham, the top 5. And every single car, all 35 of them who started this race, still on the racetrack.
Been really great to see. And for Marin, I mean, think of his 2 victories this season. Both of them came within a restart inside 10 laps to go. Las Vegas was a sprint. Phoenix was a sprint. This one has been a marathon, just working his way up into faster lap times, into a better placement above the rest of the field. And that has been the true reward for Marin, is just keeping his head down all night long. And here's the squabble up in 3 wide for the top 5. Eddie Ball, Eddie Kerner on the top shelf. Falkingham through the middle, and Matthew Morton has done a great job working his way up to the field. Although he started back in 11th, wasn't too far, he still has made forward progress. Falkingham, one of the biggest movers tonight. 3-car battle with 3 to go.
And looking intense, you could see he was stuck in the middle there and lost it a little bit, the tail end. Then he makes the big swing, trying to get that position back. The dicing at the long end of this tire run is just awesome with 3 laps to go. This is a top 5, top 7 battle with just a few laps left, just showing how important every position is.
Thankfully, it's 3 seconds out the rearview mirror, but I'm sure Sebastian Marin can still see it, and what he does not want is for this to go sideways. They finally got a little bit of distance. Kerner over Morton over Falkenham. This 3-way battle continues. But up at the front of the field, Sebastian Marin is now blowing it open again. 7/10 of a second in front. All of a sudden, he's a 1/10.5 quicker than the next fastest car. This race is official. 1 lap to go.
And for Marin, what a drive. It has been all night here from Homestead-Miami in the 305. He has turned up the heat so far. And you think of just the way the last 2 wins have gone. It all came in very tight constraints. Clutch moments. Tonight, it's just absolute domination, using the lap car to his advantage and now pulling off into the sunset.
We've got a long way to go. But some people will call 2026 the year of the horse. Sebastian Marin wants it to be the year of Marin, because a change of car, a change of scenery doesn't make a difference. How about 3 for 5 in 2026? Marin goes flag to flag with a dominant victory in Miami. Las Vegas, Phoenix, and now Homestead-Miami. Sebastian Marin is on top, and thought maybe the new car, maybe a week off, maybe a new drafting package, an aero model, something, right, would change it. Not the case. He's still the man to beat and is solidifying himself now, I think, outside of just the top 30 objective. But you could be looking at a favorite now, I think, at this point for the qualifying series championship. It was all Sebastian Marin tonight. 100 laps led. This winning moment is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. Well, let's take a look at the Coca-Cola move of the race. And I don't know, how fast can we replay back about the last hour and 12 minutes? It was picture perfect for Sebastian Marin. It started with a 32.905 in qualifying. That was best of them all. And he led the entire distance. Didn't make a mistake on pit road. Thought maybe he got caught out on a caution flag in the middle of a green flag pit cycle. Even none of that was enough to knock the number 2 off the top step, and Sebastian Marin gives us our first picture-perfect race, at least in top split, for this qualifying series campaign, Kenneth.
And Evan, there are various forms of art for racing, whether it be clutch moments, late race restarts, moving your way up to the field. This is a rare art in itself, dominating from lap 1 to lap 100 and never wavering, never faltering on a single step. Sebastian Marin kept his head down. He worked very hard for this qualifying time, he worked hard through the race, and it was just a clinic for Sebastian Marin to have his 3rd win of the season, and might be better showings for what could go for the rest of the season.
Well, while Marin is still doing his Polish victory lap, let's check in with your Coca-Cola full race results, starting with split number 2, where Dylan Basin, in the end, is able to complete his great night as well and takes home the checkered flag for the win over Jose Solis Jr., Joseph Galata, Seth Knoll, and Tyler Gary. The top 5 drivers in that one: Moose, Latterell, Bitts, Lloyd, and Armstrong. Your top 10 drivers in split number 2. Now we take a look over to your top split, and of course it's highlighted by Sebastian Marin. 100 laps led, en route to victory lane ahead of his teammate Quinton Warman in 2nd. Andrew Navarro comes home in 3rd, with Cody Bias and Eddie Kerner your top 5. Matthew Morton finishes P6. Daniel Falkenham gets a good night, builds some momentum back up with a P7 result ahead of Logan Clampett, who sneaks in for a P8. Blake Reynolds is 9th, and Matt Busa rounds out your top 10.
And 11th is Justin Campbell, the biggest mover of the race, 32nd to 11th at the end of this one. Kevin Champagne in 12th, Ron DeLotto 13th, Howell and Pfeffer the rest of the top 15. Larry Pace started this race basically the back of the field and recovers to 16th. Garrett Maines, Wyatt Tinsley, Garrett Lowe, and Brian Mercurio for the top 20. I mean, they fought hard all race long, but top 20 is what they get.
Continuing on to the number 21 spot, you'll find Michael P. Frisch, Adam Garza, Kenny Brady, Graham Boland, and Michael Cozy. We talked about Cozy's night. Started in 8th, fell down to 25th. Not what he would have been looking for. Blake McCandless in the number 28 spot. Thought that maybe he was going to get a little bit more out of that one. Settles for that with Conklin and Smith through your 30th spot.
And the final 5, Kwame Scott 31st, Cody Johnson 32nd, Rocky Boyd. Ray Alfala crashed in the mid-portion of the long green flag run. He is 34th, and Matthew Boniface in the 23 rounds out the 35 car field.
Well, let's head into post-race coverage, and Kenneth, I'll hand things off to you. You've got our split number 2 race winner.
Here with Dylan Basin, winner of the 2nd split, here from Homestead-Miami. Dylan, great to talk to you. You finished 3rd last week at Phoenix, or 2 weeks ago at Phoenix, in the final Craftsman Truck race, and you had a fast truck then. It's a fast car tonight. How did that feel to step out in front, take the checkered here in Miami?
Man, that may have been the most stressful race I've ever could have ran. With the tire lottery that we had going on, I mean, I had to run 50 laps or so on the same set while other people had another extra set. So my mercy was just down to yellow. I knew on pure pace we had that one because every run we just started pulling away. I just needed it to go green, and I was just I wanted to explode in happiness, but I was so stressed out. I kind of just had to unwind first. So I'm just really glad I went green to the end, man.
It's that exhale following the checkered flag. I'm sure as a driver that there's probably no feeling better than that. You jumped into this race 11th, top 15 in the point standings, and we mentioned the huge swing of points that a win in split 2 could do versus maybe a lower finish in split 1. How rewarding is that to win here in Miami, open up this O'Reilly Auto Parts Series campaign on the right foot, and just continue to add on the buffer to stay in the top 30?
Well, I knew this is one of my best cars. The B car has always been, it matches my driving style, and yeah, I mean, that win, it takes so much stress off your shoulders knowing you can compete with some of these guys, and that buffer is super nice right now too. So, knowing we're having the B car for the next 3 weeks, it's a pretty good feeling, because if we can keep getting performances like that, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't be really high in points before the next gen schedule pops up.
We're riding into the waves of Miami with a W here, Dylan. Congratulations on the win in 2nd split here from Homestead-Miami. Wishing you the best of luck as you in the field take on Auto Club next week.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Kenneth.
Dylan Basin, the winner in split 2.
And now looks like we've got the winner from split 1. They call him the Marinator, the chat, Sebastian Marin. He cooked it tonight. All laps led. Sebastian, how do you explain this feeling of not just winning, putting a hurting on the field and sending quite the message as we transition from truck to the O'Reilly car?
Oh man, it was insane how good that race went. Just started on pole, kind of broke away early, and with how the arrow is with these cars nowadays, getting that lead quite early was very, very significant. And then after that, I was just hoping if there were yellows, they would fall, at very adequate times, which they did. I was kind of scared it would, kind of come down to who would take a set of tires, who would set a set and get the good timing yellow later on. And that car was just lights out, man. So big shout out to the boys over at Nexus, because that thing was, I could do whatever I wanted with that car. So shout out to them.
And you certainly did. Tell me about that final run, because we saw you pull away. It got close. We thought we had a story to tell, getting a little dramatic, and then you pull away at the end. How much of that is your skill and strategy or the car?
I think, short run compared to Andrew, for example, I think he was the best short run. So we knew he was going to be our main competitor right there on that short run to the end. And we felt if we could hold him off and hold station, we would be good. And overall, I felt like with my teammates, we were pretty even the first 20, 30 laps. But I knew if we got a longer run, 30-plus lap, I feel like I would come into my own and kind of stretch my legs a bit, which is what started happening there as those last few laps. But teammate Quentin kept me honest. One simple mistake and it would have been right there. So it wasn't easy by any means, but just a great overall job by the guys at Nexus, and just a great race that we just did. Great.
Yeah, we know it wasn't easy, but you certainly made it look. Your third win in just a few races that we've had so far in the qualifying series. Congratulations. Good luck next week. We look forward to talking to you then. And then the man who had to stare at the bumper of Sebastian Marin for a long, long time, Quentin Warman. I know that wasn't easy. What's that like, trying to pursue someone who is dominating this race?
I knew this is his best track, so honestly, my goal going into it was just to, be P2. But on that last run there, I thought I may have had a shot, because I was keeping up with him, and then I don't know what he's doing, but after 30 laps, he's just gone. Like, he just has a rocket ship on the back of the car. But honestly, that race went pretty tame. It's Homestead, spreads out, kind of how I expected it to go. But I'm glad that no goofy stuff happened, despite those yellows. It was a pretty tame race.
Did we see you talking during the race? Were you chatting it up with your competitors?
Yeah, I was just goofing around with Seb those last few laps. We were just talking about a bunch of, goofy stuff. Because, the race was pretty much over, even if there was a yellow. And it was just, those last few laps of a race, as long as this, it's just like it gets to a point where you just want to get it over with. But I'm glad it ended good without any late race yellows.
Yeah, hey, you can't get the win, but you got second place. That's a good start for the fourth race of this qualifying series. You're in great position to keep advancing and keep moving on, looking toward that championship series. We'll see you next week, Quentin. Appreciate you.
Thank you, guys.
Well, we roll on into the second race using these O'Reilly Auto Parts Series cars. And, Alan, it's going to be to the 2.0 D-shaped oval in Fontana, California. The Auto Club Speedway stands as kind of a one-of-one with these cars. At least we'll see its sister track in Michigan later on. But fun to see Fontana alive and well on the sim, and we'll be there next Tuesday. A great classic track, old school. I'm glad we still have it here because it puts on great racing. You thought there were lanes of racing tonight. Just wait until next week at Auto Club. And the O'Reilly cars put on a show tonight, Kenneth, I expect none the less in 7 days.
Yeah, with Auto Club being the perfect mix of drafting track versus proper intermediate, and then Darlington right after that, Bristol to close it all off. Again, heart of the schedule, heart of the difficulty. We saw what the drivers had to deal with tonight from Homestead, and it should be no different in the next few weeks, and that should be a blast to see these drivers at the edge of control at every single moment.
It's a fun one tonight. We hope you join us when we do it again in just 1 week's time. Until then, though, that is it for us here tonight from Homestead. On behalf of our entire team at iRacing, NASCAR, and your broadcast team tonight, for James Pike, Ryan Vargas, For Alan Cavana, Kenneth Bueno, and myself, Evan Pasoko, want to say thanks for tuning in. There's a lot coming up in the world of eNASCAR. You can join us tomorrow night for week number 1 of the eNASCAR College iRacing Series Old Dominion Classic at Martinsville Speedway. And then join us back next week, Tuesday, March 24th, from Fontana for round number 6 of this, the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Qualifying Series. You can find us, as always, streaming live on eNASCAR.com. Until then, good night from Homestead, and congrats to now 3-time race winner, Sebastian Marin.